Hi, Ali from Alys Stitchy Fingers here. This is part 2 of the makeup pouch. So far what I've got done is I've got the main body done with the magnetic clasp, the brush dividers, or if you're making it for an artist or a nail technician, the dividers for whatever project you want to put in there. And we've got the brush cover on there as well. So I got to doing the gusset for this section that is going to go here with the clear pouch on top. So what I did, I enclosed the zip in between those two, folded it to the right side and top stitched. It is in various colours because my bobbin thread ran out. The gusset cover is that which I told you about, which is this piece here, and I'd already pressed those before, so all I've done is stitch that to the top, and I'm now going to stitch it to the bottom there. So just make sure that your slider comes out of the side there. This is just what's going to cover up all the workings, and I'm going to stitch along that bottom edge there. So this is now ready to do the base. Now I would recommend lots and lots of pinning on this. I don't think I'm going to have the time for that, but I would recommend it. So I'm folding this in half and I'm marking the halfway point here. Just a little notch. You could put a pin if you don't want to notch it. And then I want to mark 4 inches each side of that. So if I put the 4 mark on there, and then actually I'm going to put a little slit because that's the part I want to cut. I want to cut about a 1 centimetre little slit up both pieces of that fabric. So, and then 4 inches from the other side, put the 4-inch mark on again, measure up to the 8-inch mark, just put my thumb there, and then do another 1 centimetre stitch there. So now what I need to do is fold these up, and now I would recommend pressing it, but for speed I think I'm just going to finger press. This is why mine won't come out as nice and neat as yours. And just keep those other sections down and then fold up the bottom as well so that they both match. Just make sure they're even. Put a clip on. Same at this side. You can see why pressing is going to be a lot easier. But I'm just finger pressing like I said, and then at this side again turn it up so that it's level, finger press, and that is this piece that's going to go on here. So what you need to do now is pin, take the clip off because we can't clip in the middle here. This is going to go at the side of that brush divider there, up to each edge. So I'm going to pin it there. And then we're going to start from here and we're going to stitch all the way across there. And then all these sides here are going to be pinned or clipped around the outside of the bag. Excuse me. So I'm going to start stitching at this side here. So stitching at the top, make sure that those pieces there are to the edge and put under the machine. This is the bit that I would recommend you to go slow and do it as carefully as you possibly can. This is the bit that's going to give it that professional look. The neater you do it. Take the pin out. So right at the side of the zip divider. If you've got a walking foot, I'd recommend that you put it on. I haven't got one for this with it being an industrial machine, but it would make it a lot easier for you. When you get to that top bit there, turn it around, so you're pivoting basically, and then start to stitch around the edge, because this is where the binding's going to go now to finish it off. Excuse me. And this is where I would recommend you to be careful with your pinning. Don't do it as quick as I'm doing it. I just want you to see everything. So all the way around, back to where we started here, and then do a little back stitch. Oops, my scissors have fell on the floor. I'll just retrieve them. Excuse me. So that is the pouch part sewn onto your bag. The next part is the clear plastic section here. Now this is where I would use clips other than pins. So find the center by folding it in half. You can just mark that, it'll stay for a while, and put the first one at the halfway on the bag there. Pin the other one at the other side evenly. Put more pins on or clips on rather than this, and then stitch around the top. Again, try and do this carefully because you don't really want to be unpicking, so I really would recommend pinning it first so that you know that it's all excuse me, it's all going to be evenly spaced around. I know I'm not doing it, that's just time constraints. Ideally I would have got it all pinned and clipped and have it ready, but so just carefully easing it in. And I know you can't see a great deal from the angle here, but I'm just going around the curves. Along the straight bit. Now the curves at the other side. I'm going to clip to see what space I've got left to fit it all in. There we go. Try and keep it down so you can see what I'm doing. Around the curve. Don't worry about folding this PVC, it's really supple, and you can iron it up with the cloth over the top, and not a cool iron, but a cool to warm iron. Around the glass corner. Easing it in. There we go, round the last bit. Might have to cut a little bit off on them corners. Like I say, you'll pin it or clip it first. There we go. Yeah, I've got a couple of kinks in there. So I will just unpick that before I stitch it, but what you can see is you can just clip off a little bit if you've got too much excess in there. It's nothing to worry about, but I'm not happy with those little tucks there. So what you need to do is just make sure it's all evenly spaced before you do it. Now the only thing we need to do now is bind it. So we've got the binding here. What I'm going to do is start on the inside, open it out, and I'm going to stitch along this seam here so that I'm folding it to the right side, and then I can top stitch to make it look nice and neat, and I will top stitch it in a navy so that it's looking neater. You could start it anywhere on the pouch. Just push all these to the side, try and follow the line of stitching that you did before, And don't worry if you're thinking, you know, you've got to trim some off. It's not a problem. You can do that when you've done the first layer of binding. Before you turn it to the right side, you can trim a bit off if you need to. Round the corners. So all I'm doing is just lining it up with the row of stitching underneath. Just opening it out. Making sure when you get to this bit that you're going to cover all that raw fabric there. This is why you place it 1.5 inches down, so that when you come in past here, you can go at the side without your foot catching the magnetic clasp. Back around to where you started from, go over the binding for about 1 inch. Back tack. Ooh, nearly fell off. Cut off the binding, cut off the stitches. Right, so now what you need to do is just pull the binding out a little bit and fold it to the, oh, got another little tuck there. Fold it to the right side, all the way around. And get rid of all those excess threads there. So turn this to the back, and now you can pin or clip, whichever you want, your binding. You could hand stitch this if you want, if you want it to look really neat, or you can actually just top stitch it. So you can see that's going to give it a lovely neat finish on the back. When you fold your bag up, all these are going to be enclosed inside, and that will give you your finished bag. Now you have still got to do this bit here, which is done in exactly the same way. I'm not going to do it because I want to unpick this little bit here, but what you do is on this side, just fold your binding back, place the binding there, stitch along this line all the way around, and then this folds to that side as you have done with this, and top stitch or hand stitch that piece finished. But that basically gives you your makeup pouch and roll.